Did The Simpsons really predict that Donald Trump would one day become the President of the United States? This question has haunted the internet for years, bouncing around social media feeds, YouTube thumbnails, and countless memes. It has become one of the most famous prophecies attributed to the animated series, sparking endless debates about whether the longest-running cartoon in history somehow doubles as a time machine. On the surface, it's a wild idea, a gag from the year 2000 somehow foreseeing one of the most shocking political events of the 21st century. But to truly understand this claim, we need to peel back the layers. What exactly the show said, how the supposed prediction entered popular culture, why it captured people's imagination, and what it tells us about both American politics and the strange ways satire ages. For more than 3 decades, The Simpsons has been a mirror held up to society. Conceived by Matt Groening in the late 1980s, the show quickly grew beyond sitcom boundaries into a satirical empire. With over 750 episodes, it has tackled politics, economics, technology, entertainment, and every cultural trend imaginable. In doing so, it has gained a peculiar reputation, that of being a predictor of the future. Fans regularly share side-by-side comparisons of Simpsons jokes and real-world events. Sometimes these comparisons are humorous stretches, but other times, they feel eerily accurate. The Trump presidency is the most infamous of them all, because it transformed from what seemed like a ridiculous cartoon gag into a shocking reality 16 years later. The origin of the prediction lies in Season 11, Episode 17, Bart to the Future, which aired on March 19, 2000. In this story, Bart receives a vision of his adult life. Far from the mischievous child he once was, he grows into a middle-aged failure without direction or achievements. Lisa, however, takes a very different path. She becomes the first female president of the United States. In the Oval Office, Lisa turns to her advisors and says a line that would become immortalized in internet lore. "We've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump." That's it. One line. A casual gag inserted into an otherwise comedic episode. Yet, for fans, this single sentence cemented The Simpsons as prophetic geniuses. To understand why this joke resonated so strongly in hindsight, we must remember the context of the year 2000. At the turn of the millennium, Donald Trump was primarily known as a brash New York real estate mogul and celebrity businessman. His name adorned skyscrapers and casinos. He had dabbled in politics, flirting with the idea of running for president under the Reform Party banner in 1999. He even filed exploratory papers before withdrawing. To most Americans, however, the idea of President Trump was laughable. He was a celebrity billionaire, a tabloid magnate, and later a reality TV star. The notion of him holding the highest office in the land seemed absurd. That absurdity is exactly why writer Dan Graney chose Trump's name. In interviews, Graney explained that the decision was deliberate satire. They wanted to imagine the most outrageous, exaggerated scenario possible, a future America so destabilized that Lisa would inherit chaos. Trump, with his flamboyant persona and controversial reputation, fit perfectly. Graney later admitted, "We just wanted something absurd. It was a warning about what could happen if America lost its mind. And then it happened." In other words, the joke was never intended as prophecy. It was satire so extreme it was meant to be unbelievable. Ironically, the unbelievable became reality. Fast forward to November 2016. Against all expectations, Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in one of the most shocking upsets in American electoral history. Almost immediately, internet sleuths dug up the 2000 Simpsons clip. Side-by-side comparisons flooded Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Headlines screamed, "The Simpsons predicted Trump presidency 16 years ago." To a world reeling from the unexpected election, the clip felt like proof that satire had crossed into prophecy. But the story didn't stop there. Around the same time, another piece of evidence went viral. An animated scene of Trump descending a golden escalator, waving to a cheering crowd. The clip looked exactly like his real campaign launch at Trump Tower in June 2015. Fan swore it was from the year 2000. If true, it would mean The Simpsons not only predicted his presidency, but even the exact visual details of his campaign announcement. The problem is, that scene wasn't from 2000 at all. It came from a Simpsons parody short titled Trump-tastic Voyage, which aired in July 2015, weeks after Trump announced his candidacy. In other words, it was satire created in response to reality, not a prophecy of it. But in the blur of memes and reposted clips, people merged the genuine 2000 line about President Trump with the 2015 parody footage, creating a myth stronger than the facts. So was it really a prediction? Strictly speaking, no. It was satire that later aligned with reality, yet the power of the myth cannot be overstated. People love the idea of a cartoon foreseeing the future. It adds a sense of mystery to pop culture, suggesting hidden knowledge or prophetic insight. Psychologically, this appeal can be explained by confirmation bias. We latch onto examples that confirm our belief and ignore countless others that do not. Out of more than 750 episodes, The Simpsons has made tens of thousands of jokes. Statistically, some of them will resemble future events. We remember the hits like Trump, smartwatches, or the Disney-Fox merger, but we forget the misses. Another factor is the length of the show itself. Because The Simpsons has been on air for over 30 years, it has covered nearly every topic imaginable: politics, technology, sports, science. It is inevitable that some jokes would overlap with real events later. The difference is that Trump's victory was so unexpected, so culturally seismic, that it made the connection unforgettable. Add in the meme culture of the 2010s, and suddenly the predictions spread like wildfire. Trump has continued to be a recurring figure in The Simpsons. Beyond the Bart to the Future episode and the 2015 escalator parody, the show has featured numerous digs at him. During the 2016 election, they created parody ads mocking both candidates. Later episodes depicted Trump's White House in exaggerated ways. His hair, mannerisms, and speeches became running gags. This continuity cemented the association between Trump and The Simpsons, reinforcing the idea that the show somehow saw it coming. But perhaps the deeper lesson lies not in whether The Simpsons literally predicted the future, but in how satire functions. Satire exaggerates present trends to their logical extremes. In 2000, a Trump presidency seemed like the most absurd scenario possible, but satire often reveals uncomfortable truths about culture. Trump was already a symbol of wealth, celebrity, and American excess. By using him as a gag, the show highlighted cultural currents that, in hindsight, made his presidency plausible. Satire, therefore, did not predict reality. Reality evolved to catch up with satire. The Trump example also shows how culture influences memory. A viral screenshot or short clip can reshape public perception more powerfully than facts. Millions now believe that The Simpsons predicted Trump's presidency in exact detail, complete with escalator scene, even though that is not true. The myth has become stronger than the reality because myths are simple, funny, and dramatic. Reality is complicated, but memes travel faster. It's also important to consider the symbolism of Trump in American culture. For decades, Trump represented ambition, controversy, and spectacle. He was a businessman who turned his name into a brand, then into a persona. His rise in reality TV with The Apprentice further entrenched him in pop culture. By the time he ran for president, he was already a household name, as much entertainer as politician. The Simpsons choosing him in 2000 as a gag wasn't entirely random. It reflected how deeply embedded he was in America's cultural imagination. What makes the Trump prediction different from other Simpsons coincidences is the way it captured the mood of an entire era. In 2016, many people felt blindsided, disoriented, and searching for explanations. Seeing a cartoon clip from 2000 gave people a sense of order, as though history had been scripted all along. It was comforting and shocking at the same time. It transformed politics into destiny and satire into prophecy. In reality, of course, The Simpsons cannot see the future. It can only reflect the present. But sometimes reflecting the present with exaggeration looks like prophecy when the world catches up. That's the real story of Trump's Simpsons presidency. It was never foresight, but it was sharp cultural commentary that, by accident, became uncannily real. So did The Simpsons predict Trump becoming president? Technically, no. It was a satirical joke in a 2000 episode, meant to be outrageous. The viral escalator footage wasn't from 2000 at all, but from 2015, created after Trump announced his campaign. Yet the myth refuses to die because people love believing in the prophetic powers of a cartoon. In the end, The Simpsons is not a time machine. It is a mirror, a distorted, funny, sometimes too accurate mirror that shows us our culture's absurdities. Sometimes what looks like comedy becomes reality. And that is why, in the story of The Simpsons predicted Trump, truth and myth will always remain blurred.